Hey everybody out there, hope you guys are all doing well today. And today we're going to be doing a deck update on a deck that I've actually always liked, and I've always had a soft spot for this deck. And that is the legendary Fisherman deck. Now this deck is updated for Master Rule 5 with the recent ban list that came out. And with Master Rule 5 right around the corner, this deck is all ready to rock and roll come April 1st. So I hope you guys all enjoy this deck profile. I profiled this deck on the channel some years ago, and I've been revisiting the deck recently, and it's actually a pretty good deck. Like, it's really fun. There's different comp plays you can do with the deck. You can use links, you can use exceed monsters. There's a bunch of different cool things that you can do, and I'll show you as we get into the deck profile. But let's get into it right now, guys. So first off, we run our 3 standard legendary fishermen. So the thing you want to understand about this deck and how it functions for the most part is you're going to get your legendary fisherman or your legendary fisherman 2 out, which I'll show you here in a second, to help bring out your big bad boy, which is the legendary fisherman 3, which is a pretty powerful monster in its own right, and does have a lot of protection. So if you guys don't know, this is the OG legendary fisherman. He is a level 5. He will become a lower level, so you can normal summon him if you have the field spell, which is called the legendary ocean. So he'll become a lower level and you can just normal summon him. Same thing goes with legendary fisherman 2. So they are normal summonable. But just in the off chance that you cannot normal summon this, we do run things like, I should say, like the Monarch's Storm 4th, just in case of those instances where it's just not advantageous. So we run the 3 OG ones from Pharaonic Servant, I think they came out. And then we run the newer one, which has a better effect, I would say, overall, which is the legendary fisherman number 2. In addition to number 2, who has a decent effect, we also run legendary fisherman number 3, which I'll put down here for you guys. So this is pretty much the quote-unquote the main deck monsters of the deck. We do run some other supporting monsters, but this is pretty much how you're functioning. You're going to get your legendary fisherman 1, legendary fisherman 2 on the field, and then bring out your legendary fisherman 3, which is pretty powerful. So that's how that works there. That's the legendary fisherman archetype, and it works very well in this deck overall, you could say. So let's continue onward. So next we run a, I guess you could say, quote unquote, it's a searcher for the deck, and that is 3, the Warrior of Atlantis. If you guys don't know what the Warrior of Atlantis does, it's a field spell searcher. So if you guys have ever played Gravekeepers or Harpies, Harpy Queen searches out Harpy's Hunting Ground, Gravekeeper's Commandant searches out Necro Valley, and the Warrior of Atlantis searches out a legendary ocean, which is great because legendary ocean, like I said, reduces your monsters levels, so you can make things like legendary fishermen 1 and 2 become lower level and be able to normal summon them. So this is searching this out, which means you technically in the deck have 7 copies, 7 different ways that you can search out the legendary ocean. This, hard drawing it, and also terraforming. So that's where I run this, and this can also be used as a beat stick. Don't forget that. And in addition to that, it also can be used to go into exceed plays, which is important to remember. Next, I run one Coridus. This card's really interesting how this works. I like it as a 1-of in the deck. Some people run it as a more than 1-of. But this card's even good nowadays if you guys don't know what it does. You can send 1 face-up Umi you control to the graveyard to select up to 2 cards your opponent controls and send them to the graveyard. So it has, unless the text has been updated, to my knowledge it hasn't been, it says send 2 cards to your opponent's graveyard. Send, not select, not target, send, which is key. And that's why I like this card. And Legendary Ocean is treated as Umi when on the field, so there you go. You can definitely try this card out. I like it a lot in the deck as a 1-of. Next we run one, the Barrier Statue of the Torrent. I want to bump this card up, but I have been finding myself in some instances not wanting to run this card. If you're running a more stun version of Legendary Fisherman, maybe you run it more as a 2 of or 3 of, and turbo it out. But you have to normal summon this card for the most part, and you usually want to be normal summoning your Legendary Fisherman so you can get your Legendary Fisherman 3 out. So, yeah. You know, it's a catch-22 there, but you can definitely run it as a double if you want to, or triple, depending upon how you want to take the deck. Another one of I run is one Gagagagigo. Now, you may say, why are you running Gagagagigo? Like, why? Well, you have to keep in mind a few things. Number one, he's a level 5, so he will work with things like, which we run in the deck, the Feast of the Wild level 5, which is cool. And in addition to that, he is a normal summonable monster, so he will be a level, I think it is 3 or 4, and then you'll be able to normal summon him. He'll be a pretty big attack monster, and then you can do things with him to beat him over. He can just become a very large normal summonable beat stick. So I like him as a 1 of in the deck. It's kind of cool, but you could take it out for a second Burial Statue if you wanted to go down that route, like I said. The last one I run is one Citadel Whale. This is something I just like running in the deck. It's nice to have. It can help search out Sea Stealth Attack. You can run it. You don't have to run it. I just like it as a 1 of in the deck. So that's all for the main monsters in the deck, guys. No hand traps or anything like this nature, because this deck is, it's so predicated on getting your Legendary Fisherman out. But you could run hand traps if you want to. I just took this deck down a different route because I like running it a different way. So next up we run 3, the Legendary Ocean, as well as 1 Terraforming. This, like I said, is your main field spell for the deck. Like, you need to search it as soon as possible. Pretty straightforward there. In addition to that, we run 3, double Rage of Kurikishan. Finally, I think in Speed Duels, we finally got this monster. It's never been printed except in Speed Duels, I think. But the Rage of Kurikishan, if I can pronounce that properly, is actually a pretty good quick play spell. I'll read it to you guys if you don't know. If Umi is on the field, target monsters your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters you control whose original level is 5 or higher. Destroy them, and if you do, the zones that they were in can't be used for the rest. Can't be used until the end of the next turn. You can only activate 1 of these per turn. So it's pretty much a blanketing Regeki type of card. That's a quick play spell. If it was just a normal spell, I wouldn't run it. But the fact that it's a quick play spell is the reason I like it. And even in Master Rule 5, you can lock some, zones up for a turn if you wanted to. But it's really just nice to be like a, I mean, it's not Torrential Tribute, but the fact that it's a spell and a quick play spell, that's the reason I like it as a 2 of in the deck. It's really nice to have. Then we run 2 Feast of the Wild. Some people run this as a 3 of. This card's really good because it can help you go into some level 5 Exceed plays, bring cards back, go for link plays. It's just overall really nice to have. 2, the Monarch Storm Forth. Some people run this as a 3 of. I know you have 6 targets, but you have to remember this card may sometimes be dead, but it's just nice to have just in those certain situations because maybe your opponent, you're going second, for example. I've had this happen many times. And I've had situations where I'm like, oh, I'm going second. He made a board. Oh, I have a Legendary Fisherman, Monarch Storm Forth. I'm going to Monarch Storm Forth his monster, bring out my Legendary Fisherman, then activate the Legendary Ocean. That way I've taken care of a problem. My monster's on the field. It's pretty good. So I like this card. It's really nice to have, but you don't have to run it if you don't want to. The 1 Water Hazard. This is kind of like a double summon for water monsters. It's just nice to have. Then we run 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Monster Reborn. The reason we run Foolish Burial is because we want to send some monsters to the graveyard, mainly Citadel Whale, because it makes it a little bit more easier to summon if it's engraved. Because if you guys don't know what Citadel Whale states, it says, if this card is in your graveyard or hand, you contribute 2 water monsters to special summon this card. You can use the effect of Citadel Whale once per turn. So it just makes it easier to be in graveyard, because if it's in grave or in, you don't want to have this card in your hand technically or draw it because it can be dead. But if it's in graveyard, then that's great. You can actually do things. And there's also some other reasons I've run the Foolish Barrel, because it just works off well with some other little combo plays you can do in the deck. But that's up to you. Next up, we run 3C Stealth Attack. You may say that's a little bit overkill, and I would understand, but this card is your mainstay and your bread and butter plays with your Legendary Fisherman. You get this, you get your Legendary Fisherman, you're good to go. If you don't see one or the other, you're up the creek without a paddle. So that's why I run 3 of it, because you want to see it. Now, this is just a little engine I run, and I like it in the deck. You don't have to run it, but it works well for me, and I've always liked it in this version of the deck. So I'm running a mini Paleozoic engine, and you may say, really? Like, why? And I can't explain it unless you've played this deck before, because it actually really helps out. So hallucinogen, some of the downsides of the Legendary Fisherman, some of the downsides, is they don't always gain attack bonus from Legendary Ocean, or sometimes you'll have situations where you're like, I'm trying to deal with my opponent's monsters, so they're susceptible to big monster attacks. You have to understand that. So things like Hallucinogen and Dinomischus can help take care of that. While this is just a good, way to just get rid of spells and traps, these really help out. And then you can also use them for link plays. You can use them for exceed plays. Once you activate multiple traps, you have a good amount of traps in this deck, including also we run the Tornado Wall, which is nice to have as well, which is cool because if this gives you more protection, if you have Legendary Ocean, it's just a good one-up to have. Some people don't like it. I understand why, but it's just pretty fun to play around with this card in the deck. So that's why I run these, because they're useful in many different ways. You don't have to run them, I'm going to be honest, but I do like it, and at the end of the day, I really like it for that reason. So you don't have to run it, though, I'm going to be honest, but I do like it in the deck, and the Paleozoic engine has worked out well for me over the last couple of weeks that I've been playing this deck for fun. It's not a super competitive deck, but it is a very fun deck. So now let's get on to the extra deck. So we run our Field Zone Center. I run number 94 Crystal Zero and number full armored Crystal Lancer. So if you're wondering how you go into this, and then you can stack this on top of it. And this card's actually still pretty decent. We also run number 37 Hope World Dragon Spider Shark, which is good. Abyss Dweller, which is nice. Buhamid Shark, because Master Rule 5 makes this card good. And you also have Mr. Totally Awesome, which you can use Buhamid Shark Toad. Cool. We also run Paleozoic, this one, as well as Cat Shark for some level 2 action that you can do in addition to all that, which is kind of cool. We do run a good majority of links here. We also run the Mermail link. You're mainly using this card for its second effect, which is nice. 2 Miss Starboy, you will be amazed of how many times you go for 2 Miss Starboy. Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn, and Bull's Sword. So that is the extra deck in a nutshell. I know you may be like saying, this deck is pretty straightforward. Well, yes, it is pretty straightforward. There are little tech cards that you can run in the deck. Say you didn't want to run the Paleozoic engine. You wanted to run things like the Solemn engine. Or, hey, I want to run 3 Ash Blossom, 3 of this, 3 of that. Go right ahead, do it. But like I said, I've played this deck for a couple of years now. And off and on, I love it. It's one of my fun decks. I play against my buddies a lot. But there's different ways you can approach this deck. But the things you want to keep in mind is, at its core, is you want to be able to get to your Legendary Ocean, so you can do your different combo plays with your Legendary Fisherman. If you can't do that, you're going to be up the creek without a paddle. I'm being honest. And the extra deck now is really nice because we've gotten a lot more support over the years since the last time I profiled it. And because of that reason, you have, and with Master Rule 5 coming out, you can go for link plays, you can go for exceed plays. It's really nice and versatile what you can do. You can use the Paleozoics, have a full set of back row, and just do different things, go into different link plays and things of that nature. So it's really cool what you can go to and the versatility this deck has for a fun, casual setting at locals or a local tournament. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy the deck profile. Go Mako Tsunami, because you know Mako is awesome. And until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and go Freaky Fish Boy. Bye.